We meet Margaret, who is in a hotel and looks scared, and she closes her room window. We see a body of a young man in underwear lying on the floor and looks dead, and Margaret goes to body. She tries to take her purse, but blood splatters on her, and she manages to take her phone. She calls a number, but it is unavailable, and then she gets a call back from a person who asks how she got his number. She tells she needs his help and was given this number by someone who asked to call this number in case of emergency. The man asks what help she needs, and Margaret tells him about the body, and the man asks her to be calm. He tells her to be in her room and do nothing, and we meet Jack, who is a fixer who handles impossible jobs. He drives to the hotel and goes to the room and meets Margaret and asks her what happened here. She says she met his man Austin in hotel lobby, and they came up to the room, and she used a fake name to book the room. She tells Austin was jumping on the bed and fell and crashed in the glass, and she didn't do anything. She says she is the district attorney and her reputation is at stake, and Jack asks her not to worry. He says he will fix everything and asks her to go home and behave as if nothing happened here. Jack checks Austin's pulse to make sure he is dead, but suddenly they hear someone knock on door. We meet Nick, who is also a professional fixer, has come to the room and says he has been appointed by the hotel owner Pam. Jack is confused to see him here, and Nick says Pam saw everything on hidden camera and sent him. Pam calls and speaks with Margaret and informs her they are caught in a unique situation. Jack believed he is the only fixer in town and is not happy with Nick being here and asks him to leave. Pam talks to both of them on loudspeaker and says she is the owner of hotel and doesn't want any controversy. She wants Jack and Nick to work together since Margaret trusts Jack and she trusts Nick. They both refuse, and Nick talks with Pam alone, and Jack packs his stuff to leave, and Margaret stops him. She tells she cannot trust anyone but Jack since she got his number from someone she knows. Nick also refuses to work with Pam and says he works alone, and Margaret begs Jack to stay. She says she was informed Jack's word was his honor, and he would never go back once he agrees to a job. She tells Pam has got both of them on video, and Jack agrees to stay, and Pam convinces Nick. Jack asks her to tell what happened from start, and Margaret says she came to the hotel and meet Austin in lobby. She then invited him upstairs where they both had drinks, and he started jumping on bed and fell. They ask Margaret to change clothes and go home, and offer her some clothes they have brought. She changes and leaves from there, and Jack begins his work of covering the body, but Nick relaxes. He tells Jack his job is to make sure Jack does his job properly, so this body cannot be traced back to the hotel. Nick says he is responsible for hotel safety and not taking care of body, and Jack is angry, but works alone. He puts the body on plastic sheet, and Nick notices a bag behind the table and opens it and is shocked. Jack comes and sees the bag has drugs in it, and their job has become more complicated. Pam calls them and asks if they can throw the drugs in river, but they both advise against it. They say it can be traced back, and Pam asks them to return the drugs to whom it belongs. They both agree, and Nick offers to help Jack with the body, but Jack refuses and tapes the body. He then uses a luggage cart to lift the body without touching it, and they load the body in it. They take the lift to the garage, and Nick cuts some camera's wires to distract the guard. Jack goes outside and brings his car inside and takes the luggage cart and loads the body in the dicky. Jack then asks Nick to erase the camera tapes of the hotel, but Nick says he will do it alone. Jack says he doesn't trust Nick to wipe the tapes and believes maybe Pam sent Austin to blackmail her client Margaret. Nick says he doesn't trust Jack and cannot show where the tapes are kept, and they argue. Suddenly they see the dicky open and see Austin is alive and was sleeping due to overdose. They quickly go, and Nick punches Austin to knock him out before the guard sees them. Nick asks Jack if he checked his pulse, and Jack says he did, and asks why didn't Nick check it. They both argue again about being professional, and Nick says they can ask Austin about the drugs. They both agree, and Nick says they should go to a safe place, and he knows someone, but Jack says no. He calls this person who doesn't answer the call, so they agree to go to Nick's person for help. They drive to Chinatown, and Jack says maybe the drugs belong to Albanians who lost their huge drug shipment a while back. He says they cannot directly take the drugs to them since they can be killed, and believes Austin was used a honeypot. He was sent to trap Margaret since she is attorney working on the case, but Nick feels something isn't right. They arrive at the location, and Nick goes alone to talk to his person and asks Jack to wait in car. Nick explains their situation, and we see a woman named June come down to talk to Nick. Jack goes to meet them, and we come to know June was the person Jack was trying to call earlier. They both are surprised to know their common person was June, and ask her why long she has been working with both. June is a doctor, and asks them to bring Austin inside, and Nick feels someone is watching them. They see Austin is conscious, and June says he took some pure drugs which causes his pulse to drop and heartbeat become very slow. She says no one could have detected this low pulse, and Jack tells Nick he did check the pulse. They both start arguing, and June asks them to leave, and they both have a drink and talk. They come to know June saved their lives before and thought June was working exclusively with them only. Suddenly, they see Austin run out of there, and June asks them to stop him, and they go out. Austin runs on the streets, and they follow him in car, and Austin breaks a glass and enters a mall. Nick follows him on foot, and Jack follows him in car, and after some running, Jack manages to find Austin. Austin jumps over Jack's car and safely escapes and starts running again, with Nick following him. After running for some time, Austin climbs a bridge to escape, but is caught by Jack waiting for him. June gives them some medicine to give to Austin for overdose, and they decide to take Austin to a motel for asking questions. They book a room and ask him about drugs, but Austin says he doesn't know anything. They both discuss they need to threaten Austin and scare him with furniture, and he starts talking. Austin says he was helping his friend Diego, who he met in business school, and the drugs belonged to him. He was delivering drugs on Diego's behalf since his mom got sick, and he will get drop location from a pager in a club. He met Margaret in hotel and went to her room and tried the drugs and fell on glass by jumping on bed. They tell him he needs to finish the job, and they drive towards a club, and Austin asks how long they both working together as partners. He says they both talk the same way and think alike, and they arrive at the club, but Jack sees Dimitri. They both worked with Dimitri in past, who is a dangerous gangster, and he would kill them if he sees them together. They tell Austin they are not partners and work alone, and decide to enter the club to take the pager. They enter the club, and Jack and Nick go separate directions to watch over Austin, and Austin goes to bartender. He asks for the page, but the bartender cannot hear him, so Austin goes over the bar and picks up the pager. He is caught by Dimitri's man thinking he was stealing and taken outside, and Jack and Nick see this. They try to follow him outside, but are caught in the wedding dance, and Dimitri sees both of them. He realizes something is wrong, but suddenly they both take out their guns towards each other and act as enemies. Dimitri asks them to calm down and tells it's his daughter's wedding and asks why they are here. They tell him they came to pay their respects and start fighting with each other, so Dimitri doesn't suspect anything wrong. They leave from there, and Dimitri's man notices they both have same guns, and Jack meets Austin. He sees he has been beaten up, but Austin didn't run, and they all go to a restaurant to wait for the location. Austin thanks them for saving his life and says he knows they are fixers and wishes they were partners. When Austin goes to washroom, Jack and Nick discuss about the drugs and feel Dimitri, Diego, and Austin are somehow connected. They believe they need to kill Austin after the drugs are delivered since he has seen their faces. Jack says they need to let Austin complete the delivery, and maybe after delivery the gangsters will kill Austin themselves, as Austin could be a pawn in this game. This way they won't need to kill him, and Nick doesn't like this, and says they could be wrong, and the gangsters could let Austin walk free after delivery. In that case they would have to kill Austin, and they agree, and suddenly the delivery location is sent on the pager. They go to the location and ask Austin to go in alone, and they wait in the car and watch over him. Austin goes, and a gangster opens the door and lets him in, and suddenly they see Albanian gang come there. They come in their cars and go inside with guns, and Dimitri's men also come there and shoot Jack and Nick from behind. Jack drives his car in reverse, and Dimitri's men say they know they are partners and start shooting them. Jack opens the dicky, and they both go outside and take guns from the dicky and shoot the gangsters. They go towards the warehouse and hear gunshots being fired and see a gangster come outside and die. They slowly go in and see all gangsters have killed each other and find Austin hiding in car dicky. He is safe but scared, and Jack asks him to finish his job and drop the drugs, and Jack readies his gun to kill Austin. Austin puts the drugs near a gangster, and Jack takes aim to shoot him but is unable to do so and stops. Nick fires his gun and shoots a drug case and says this will make it look more realistic, and we see a transmitter inside. They both let Austin live and decide to take subway home and are happy to see Austin alive. Nick tells Jack there is some blood on his sweater, and Jack checks and feels some pain. Nick is worried and thinks Jack has been shot, but Jack was acting and checking whether Nick cared for him. They both have become friends and come to drop Austin at his home and meet his dad and explain their situation. They meet Austin's dad and tell him about what happened and tell them to be quiet about the night, otherwise they would be killed. After that, they decide to have breakfast and both suggest the same place and go there together. Later they discuss how crazy night it was, and Jack asks Nick what Pam told him in hotel to make him work with him. Nick says his word was his honor, and he would never go back once he agrees to a job, and Jack realizes something. He asks how Pam got Nick's number, and Nick says she got it from a common friend. Jack says Margaret also got his number from same common friend, and they realize they both have been set up for this job. Their common friend wanted both of them dead and gave them his job, so they would be killed either by Dimitri, Albanians, or the gangsters. They see the restaurant is empty and see more gangsters outside with guns ready to fire at them. They both ready their weapons and agree to tell each other their names if they survive the attack. They both fire their guns and looks like they are teaming up, and we see how Austin actually fell and being unconscious at the start.